Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to have this time with Cheryl for today. My name is Karen Seinor. I'm the Vice President of the Tarot Guild of Australia. And of course, with me today is Cheryl, who is our actual president. So Cheryl's the president of the Tarot Guild of Australia. And this is her 20th year as a member of the Guild. So welcome, Cheryl.
Well, thank you very much, Karen. I'm delighted to talk with you.
It's going to be a fun chat, I think. How wonderful that this is your 20th anniversary, and here we are talking in the month in which you actually started 20 years ago.
Yes, yes. I think the date, what is the date today? The 12th. I think I joined on the 14th.
Oh, wonderful. So we're just shy. Have a little birthday, little anniversary cake in a couple of days and a little, maybe a glass of bubbles or something.
That'd be nice. Have to find someone to have it with, Karen.
Now, Cheryl, that is a really incredible markage of time. And it prompts that obvious question, doesn't it? Your tarot journey, what started you off?
Well, I'd always been interested in everything sort of esoteric, right from really young, right from when I was a little girl. I used to sit out on our front porch, and we were opposite the primary school, so the end of the primary school where the trees were in the oval, etc. So it was all sort of like nature, and I used to love just sitting out there for what seemed like hours, just staring at the stars and wondering about time and things like that. And that was probably pretty weird for a child of my age to be thinking about time, like the time continuum. Like what am I going to be thinking in 10 years time and sitting here? Am I going to think back to this time? So time was that was something, and the stars always fascinated me. Then I started having, when I was older, I started having precognistic dreams of things that would happen. It started off with people having babies, because that was something when I started to have my children. And I used to have a dream of what the person was going to have, a boy or a girl, etc. But it'd be like a little video I'd see. And I suppose you'd say you've got a 50-50 chance of knowing that, but mine were far more intricate than that. Just very quickly, I had a girlfriend who had been trying to get pregnant for a very, very, very long time, and I was in hospital, had my baby, and she came in to visit, and I knew straight away. I'd had a dream, one of my dreams, that she was pregnant, and I was just waiting for her to tell me, and she did, and we worked it out. We think that I had the dream on the night they must have conceived.
You're very tuned in.
Oh yeah, and then it was the day before Australia Day. It was 25th of January, and I was sitting with my husband then, my then husband, and I said I'd had a dream that she had a girl, and she had it on Australia Day. Now this is about 6 weeks early, so not a big deal, but 6 weeks early. And then I just got this overwhelming urge later in the evening. I said, if I don't ring her and tell her now, she'll think it's not true, that I've fabricated it or whatever. And so I just, I had this burning. It got worse and worse. This burning feeling. I had to ring her. So anyway, so I rang her, and she answered the phone, and she said, "Oh my God, you've just put shivers all down my spine because I've just gone into labour."
Oh my golly.
And sure enough, on Australia Day, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl.
Beautiful.
So, so it's like, I don't know whether you call it clairvoyance. I don't know but it's visions. I have visions of things, and then they happen. Now they happen exactly like I see them. Like it's like a short mini vision into the future, something that's going to happen in the future.
Wow.
So that led me to the tarot eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So is that a part of what you do when you do readings? Does that marry in, or is it sort of work along the side? I'm just curious.
Yeah, a bit of both, and it's something, and people that I've met that do have the same sort of thing as me. There's not that many, but I have met a few. It's something that, like, people used to say to me, "Oh, tell me what I'm having. Is it a boy or a girl?" Because back then, they wouldn't tell you. And I said, I can't just make it happen. It's just, it happens when it wants to happen. I don't have control over it. But if there's something my guides want me to know, that in a reading, it'll come to me. It'll just come to me, and it's a real knowing. It's that it's correct. And if I say something like that I think that they're wanting me to say, um, I'll get shivers all up and down my arms, and it could be a hot day, and yet I'll have goosebumps and my all down my arms and my face, and that's them telling me that yes, that's spot on, and I've got to keep pursuing that avenue of thought. So, but I bought my first deck of cards up your way, nearly. I went away with three girls for a few nights, little girls breakaway, and we stopped at a newsagent's, and we were going to Albury Wodonga,
Mm.
and we went to the newsagent's to get we stopped at get something, and a magazine or whatever, and I saw a deck of tarot cards. And I'd often thought about it, but was a bit sort of like, oh, I don't know about tarot, I was a bit sort of not sure about it. And anyway, so I decided I'd buy them. And so that was the Rider-Waite deck. And that was my very first deck. And yeah, and then we had practice reading. I read for all the girls, and we had a wow of a time.
And you haven't looked back. That,
Yeah.
isn't it? What a synchronicity. Here I am in Albury Wodonga, and we're chatting from here, and that's where you got your first deck from. I love it.
Yeah. And do you want to know what happened to my first deck?
Absolutely.
Well, I was in Prague for my godson's wedding. He was marrying a German lass, and anyway, my cards, which I loved, they got water damaged.
Ooh.
They got saturated. That they were completely irretrievably damaged, and it broke my heart. And I had to throw them out, and and it was terrible. And I spent days walking around looking for another deck of tarot cards, because I felt like I was something. Part of me was missing. I couldn't. I didn't feel complete. I just felt like I have to get myself a new deck of tarot cards. And I did end up getting a deck, but not what I would have perhaps thought. But it was the Botticelli deck.
Oh.
Gorgeous. Yeah, that was, so in Prague, yeah, this little shop had that. So I bought those, and they're very beautiful. But I still read with Rider-Waite.
Actually, Cheryl, I have the Botticelli deck. I love it so much. I read with it very regularly.
You do, yeah, yeah. They're just beautiful, aren't they?
They
So,
It really is artwork, isn't it? I mean, it's pure artwork. A lot of the decks are just gorgeous.
oh yes, 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 yes.
What are you reading with now?
Sorry?
What are you reading with now? What's the deck that you're working with at the moment?
Uh, well, I do all of my readings. When I do a reading, I do use the Rider-Waite deck. It's just something. I really have a synchronicity with it, because I I know that a lot of people probably do this anyway, but I read intuitively, and I teach tarot, and I love teaching tarot, and I teach people how to read intuitively so that they don't have to know the traditional meanings. I do teach them the traditional meanings as well, because that's important. But how to, the stories that are within the Rider-Waite deck, just looking at the card. I think like when we had Jacqueline Closemore do a presentation for us, she said with her, the cards actually move. She sees them moving, the people in them moving around or doing something. And I don't see them moving like that, but I see the story in that card and it comes to me. So that when I'm reading for somebody, that essence of what they need to know sort of comes out of that card. It's sort of, yeah, you sort of absorb it.
Yeah, wow.
So I still read with them, but I think I've got about, this probably sounds corny, but I think I've got about 78 decks.
What? Well, you can't buy any more now, you know that. That's the perfect 78 cards, 78 decks. I love it. That is beautiful.
Yeah, so,
Are they all Rider-Waite? Are they all Smith-Waite decks?
oh, they're all different. I do have the different sorts of Rider-Waite, and I have the before and after
Mm.
tarot as well, but I've got like the Radiant and other ones. But I've got lots of different decks. One of my favourites is the, and I'm going to say this wrong, I know, the Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Cheryl. He's all digital, but they're just amazing pictures, absolutely beautiful artwork, and I just went to get it before this interview, and I couldn't find it. So the universe is saying to me, no, no, you're not meant to. Other people can go and look it up online and see what they look like.
Okay. All right. We might put a little note next to our conversation so people can find it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Chiro Machete. I've got both. Well, he's got a few decks, I think, but I've got his Tarot of Dreams, which was before the Legacy of the Divine Tarot, and they're both just amazing. The artwork is amazing. Um, it's, yeah, gorgeous cards. If you like the Botticelli deck, you'd probably love his deck as well. But I've got all sorts of decks. I've even got the Zombie Tarot deck.
Oh, really?
Parties and things. You've got no idea what some people would like. And the Housewives Tarot deck. And oh, I've got some. Oh no, I've got normal ones too. I actually have a Rachel Pollack's deck. The what's it called? The
Tribe.
Yeah, the Tribe one. In a wooden box that I bought from her, and guess where I bought it from her? Uluru. We were on a spiritual adventure tour, which was amazing, and that's when I first met Karen and got to know many other people that belong to the guild, and it was truly amazing. And Rachel had a couple of her, like one of her boxed, specially signed, not the ones that are run off by the printer, but almost like original. And I have one of those decks, so I figure that probably is worth a fair bit of money by now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that trip with Rachel, quite a ways back now. That was a pretty fantastic time.
2006, I think we worked it out, you and I. Yes, because my friend, one of our friends, I won't say names, and that had her 60th birthday lying under the sky in her sleeping bag. Just nothing around her, and that's how she celebrated her 60th birthday.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. Okay. So, in terms of highlights with your tarot journey, your personal journey, and the journey that you've done in the outer world as well, because I know you've been, well, obviously a member of the guild for a long time, but you've also been involved with the committee and, as a volunteer for so many years as well. I'm curious, what would you say would be some of the highlights of your experiences with the tarot?
Oh, I mean, there's lots. I mean, that trip to Uluru was absolutely off the chart for many reasons. Just Uluru itself, that there was a group of us, we all walked around at Uluru. I don't know if you recall that, in groups. And I was in a little group of, I think, about 4 or 5 of us, maybe 5 of us. And when we got to the women's area, we did a meditation, and it was like, it just blew us all away. It was just wonderful. Hard to explain. The energy was palpable. It was incredible. So I know that's not tarot reading as such, but I would have to say, like this, Rachel Pollock, she's the tarot icon. So meeting her and seeing her face to face was amazing. And I think that sort of reminds me of something. I had been told by several people, psychics, etc., that I'm a light worker, but I've also went to this special meditation once. It was just before Christmas one year with my girlfriend, and the lady was a channel for Archangel Michael. And anyway, she got us to do all these exercises, sort of twisting our necks this way, that way, before we did this meditation thing. Well, I didn't know, and she should have told us, got our permission, but she didn't, the lady. I didn't know what she was doing, or she was gearing up for us to be able to have somebody come through.
Oh.
Yeah, through the back of the neck, and that's where she was getting us to do all these neck things. And during the meditation, I had this really strong feeling that something was coming up through my throat, and I was battling to stop it coming up and out. It was like something was going to be said, and I didn't know what it was like. It was really trying to come out, and I got the name Pedro, and I was thinking, Pedro, okay. And then I got Peter. So Pedro, as you know, is like he's sort of a common name back then. But then he said Peter. Anyway, afterwards, the lady said to me when we came out of it, and I told her what happened. She said, "Oh, you could be doing what I do. 12 months from now, you could be doing what I do." And I sort of thought, "Oh, I don't know about that." But the thing was, and I told Rachel about this story. And anyway, I think you might recall she did a 1-card reading for us all one evening.
Yes.
And that was at Uluru. I'm pretty sure it was the campsite at Uluru. And I pulled out the Hierophant, and she said to me, "Look, Pape." I went, "What? What? Pape, I've got this thing with Pedro." And she said, "The first Pope." She said to me, "Oh, you are a very powerful person. You have a lot of power and energy, and with psychically and with the tarot." So that was a mind blowing thing, her saying that to me, and she was she was sort of flabbergasted herself. So,
Wow. So that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
yeah, there's a lot of synchronicity in everything now when I look back, there's a lot of synchronicity in everything that's probably happened in my life. And now I say there's no such thing as coincidences, because everything happens, in my opinion, everything is meant to be, whatever that is. It all just happens. And I think you meet the people that you need to meet, and you might meet some people that you don't get on with, but I think it all goes back to our past lives. And of course, in your past lives, you've got friends, and you've also got probably 1 or 2 enemies. And of course, I think you just run into them in various areas of your life, and you just have that instant knowing that you know that person, and you feel comfortable with them, and you just get on. You just get on, or you don't, depending on
Yeah.
depending on the circumstances. So, Yeah, no, I love the tarot, and so in 2004 I became a professional member of the Tarot Guild, and that was quite an ordeal back then. It was really hard work. It's so much nicer. Do it the way they do it now is much more gentle and giving you the time to do your exam papers and things like that. Whereas when we did it, we were in a room, sort of like sitting down for three to 4 hour written exam.
Whoa.
Yeah. So everybody out there that has recently become a professional member, you guys got it easy.
But not too easy.
Not too easy. No, no, definitely not too easy. Thank you, Karen. No, it's worth doing. So I hope that people are inspired to have a go, to try and become a professional member, and you just keep learning. You never stop learning um, anything, in my opinion. No matter how good you might be at it, you never stop learning, and you can find something in the most oddest place. Something will just happen, and you go, "Oh, never thought of that before," or
Mm.
whatever. So, or a different spread, or something that somebody's using, and you think, "Oh, gee, that really, you know, syncs with me. Like I really like that type of thing." So,
Yeah, you're right. There's always more to learn. People go down various rabbit holes and
mm,
the history and the different kinds of decks. There's various pathways of learning
mm,
style, isn't there? I'm constantly amazed at that.
mm, mm. Yes.
Now,
So,
can I ask you, I the Smith-Waite deck, which is your sort of your favourite.
mm.
There's a lot of astrological correspondences with that, isn't there?
Yes, there are, and for those who don't know, I'm an astrologer as well, and a member of the Victorian Astrologers Association, and I've been on their committee for many years, off and on well. Um, as well. But I resigned from that committee when I became president because of the Tarot Guild, because there's no way I could uh, carry on doing that as well.
There's
Yeah.
a certain amount of time and energy, isn't there?
Yes, yes, yes. But there's a lot of correspondences in the, the Smith-Waite deck, because everyone sort of likes to call it now to honour Pamela, um, which I think she obviously had to be very gifted. There's no two ways about it. Those cards really do speak to you if you let them.
Mm. Mm. And I mean, so many of the more current decks, or the decks that have followed, have been based on her work anyway, haven't they?
Yes, 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 yes. One thing I've got a painting that is a treasure of mine, and it's the original painting that Kay Steventon did of the spiral tarot, and it's the moon.
Wow.
Original. It is the painting, um, and that's what the cards were. Well, the moon cards were printed from. But they had an auction at one point or something, I think, and the paintings were all sold off, and Shotta, believe it or not, had bought, I think, two or three of them, and she was she had decided that she was going to sell her moon, and I was the one that bought it. So, from Anne. So there's a bit of history.
Oh, wow. I remember that. That was actually at the first International Tarot Conference, which, of course, the
Yes,
Tarot hosted in Melbourne.
yes,
Very, very first in the world.
yeah.
Mm.
I think it was the second one, because there was a one that was way back in, I think it was either 96 or 98, and that was the very first international tarot conference in the world, and that was held in Melbourne. So the Tarot Guild of Australia is the first the first with pretty much everything to do with tarot. We were the first group that was formed and the first group that was incorporated, and we were the first ones to run an international tarot conference. And we had the likes of Rachel Pollock, Mary Greer, Kathleen Matthews, trying to think, a couple of the guys, James Wanless, trying to think who else. But anyway, you know, some of the key tarot, what do you call it, the top-notch one around the world ones came. So it really was, apparently. I wasn't there, but I you know, because I only joined in 2002. But I believe it was supposed to be something really special, and we'll have to look into that, because I think we might have to have some sort of a celebration because of how many years on now for when that comes up, when that anniversary of that conference occurs.
Wonderful, wonderful idea. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, you're the president of the Tarot Guild of Australia. Do you have, I mean, that's a pretty big job, Cheryl, and there's a certain level of visioning that comes with that. So I'm just wondering, you know, is there anything that you sort of want to talk about in relation to the Guild itself? I know that we're really interviewing you, but because you're sitting in that chair, I'd just like to give you the opportunity to speak about that, if that seems like something you want to do.
Yeah, well, we have been bringing in some new things that have happened since the end of September last year, when we had our AGM. And just recently, we've brought in free listings for our professional members of their courses, tarot courses. And so they're there on the website if you're wanting to see what's on offer from our professional members. I'd like to introduce something to do with, for younger people, well, not necessarily younger, but people new to tarot, or, you know, still wanting to gain experience, where they can perhaps get together either on Zoom, and we could manage it where they can do practice readings for each other. And if not on Zoom, once we're face to face, hopefully we can perhaps have, you know, even if it's just half an hour after or before a meeting, they can come and we'll have, you know, a professional member, you know, to sort of answer any questions that they might have, etc., to do with the reading they're doing, etc., like that, to help give them that bit of extra experience.
There's some nice, interesting ideas evolving, and
yeah, and more things, just more things to benefit them. I'd like to get some more, like we're doing this interview, but I would like to get some people that are professionals in their field of work that could be helpful for people, like in running their tarot business, getting to know things like social media and that, which I really don't know much about, but having them come and do, you know, special workshop classes that we can do on Zoom, because some people aren't necessarily in Melbourne, so this would be probably a Zoom event, and it would be recorded, and something that I've got an idea about. Yeah.
So lots of things on the offing. Okay. Well, look, I'm just aware of the time, Cheryl, and can you believe it? We've gone, you know, about 40 minutes or something like that already. Isn't it amazing how quickly time goes when you start talking about the tarot and possibilities? And before we finish up, I'd just love to know, if there was a tarot card that you truly align with, maybe that represents you, or one that you really love, which one would it be?
Oh, that is a hard one.
And I didn't even prompt you with this. I just sprung this on you magically.
Yeah. I don't look. There's probably a few that jump to mind. I'm probably, if you're going court cards, I'm probably a cross between the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands. And that can vary if I can put it that way, depending on where I am, what the circumstances are. But I don't know, it's probably a little bit of all of them in there. I mean, I do, right from when I was really young, in my early 20s, I mean, I used to have all my friends, if they had a problem, they'd all come to me. So a bit of the Queen of Swords there, you know. I've travelled the road, the tough road. I've had a tough life. I truly have. And so you learn from that. And that's where I tend to attract similar clients that have been through similar sorts of situations as myself. And that helps you. You have that experience, that knowledge to be able to help them and to give them strategies to, you know, to feel good about themselves. And that's probably the best thing that I like about doing a tarot reading, Karen, is when somebody walks in the door and you can see they're as nervous as anything, and they've got the weight of the world on the shoulder, and you start doing the reading and all of the cards come up, the Ten of Swords, the Tower, the Death card, all of these sorts of things. But it's true. It's where their life is at that moment. But when they leave, by the time they leave, they're up, they're uplifted. They've got a smile on their face, and they've got hope. And that's something I remember Paul Fenton Smith said once. The biggest thing that you can ever give a person when you do a reading is hope. And I think that is a wonderful thing. And I've even had people give me a big hug and that as they leave, and they never knew me from a bar of soap before that, but they go away feeling that much happier and lighter and believe that things can be better.
Yeah. Well, knowing you, I absolutely am sure that anyone who comes to you for a reading does leave with a lot more hope, because your compassion alone is going to fill somebody. So, yeah, that. And I can see you as a blend between the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands too, perfectly. Now, look, thank you so much for your time today. It's actually been a real pleasure.
Yes.
And yeah, I look forward to thank you so much for your time, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's been a pleasure. So bye, everyone.
Bye.